everyone, it's Bethany from Beth and Books and welcome back to this book nook. We are in a very different space right now. This is the first video coming at you from Melbourne, Australia. And yes, this is an open bag of my suitcase with all my clothes in it. This is my current wardrobe situation. But yes, we're feeling very like 2010 YouTuber, just chilling, sitting on the floor because, you know, I'm in someone else's space and I'm very aware of not wanting to share their house on the internet. But other than that, we're just going to get straight into this video, which is upcoming books I'm excited for. This is a series that I started a couple of years ago, or basically when I first had my YouTube account, right? Oh, my hair is shedding. I washed it this morning. But last year I just didn't continue with it. 2022 was not the year of consistency and lots of reading for me. I still read a decent amount, but not my normal kind of reading. So I'm really excited to get back into it this year. So if you haven't seen one of these videos, the way I do it is I peruse like goodreads and book blogs and Instagram and see what's coming up in the upcoming quarter of the year and just share some books that I personally am excited for. I'll leave all the Goodreads links down below if you want to add them to your own shelves. And this is encompassing 2023's January, February, March. Let's get straight into it. Highly suspicious and unfairly cute. I've got my notes down here. It's been a while since I've done these videos. I'll try to keep these as concise as I can, by the way. If you want to find more information, click the link. So in this book, we follow Bradley and Celine. Bradley is basically, I'll try to keep this concise. Bradley is a cool guy. Celine is not seen as a cool person. She's really into her conspiracy theories, and that makes her seem odd in the high school that her and Bradley are at. They used to be like best mates, and now they are not, but they are two main characters, so you can definitely see some sort of romance happening between them. And in classic enemies to lovers trope, something brings them together, and in this case it's like an outdoors survival course which Celine signs up to, and then she's like, whoa, wait, what the heck, Bradley is here, and that kind of sparks their rivalry again, and then they get to know each other. And honestly, I'm just really excited for anything Talia Hibbert ever puts out after finishing the Brown Sisters trilogy. Ever since then, I've always been keeping an eye out for any of her upcoming book releases. Okay, this is The Stolen Heir, I always say it wrong, Heir, I think, by Holly Black. Now, let me just put it out there. I did not totally love her original, is it Folk in the Air? The original trilogy, which blew up everywhere. I was not a fan. However, I know this is going to blow up, and I know there's going to be heaps of conversation about it, so I've got this on my list for FOMO reasons. I want to be able to talk about it with people. I want to be able to also give Holly Black another chance. I do think as her original trilogy went on, I started to enjoy the books more, so I'm hoping with the beginning of a new series, I mean, I'm basically giving the author a second chance, whilst also just complete honesty, guys, not wanting to miss out on the conversation, to be honest. Now, in terms of what this is about, it does return back to the original setting of Elfhame. Elfhame? Yeah. And it does happen 8 years after the original trilogy. So I don't want to say too much in case I accidentally spoil something from the trilogy, but it sounds like we will see our main protagonist, antagonist, our main characters again in this. Is technically, they're calling it a duology, so like a spin-off duology. So we see them again, no doubt, and then, yeah, see, I was about to spoil something then. It's just a duology added on to the original trilogy. I'll move on. Oh, Ty. Hey, babe. Next up, we have Leigh Bardugo's a book called Hellbent. This is the second book in her duology, her Alex Stern duology. And I remember really enjoying the first book. For the life of me, I can't remember what the first book is called, and I can't look it up because I don't have internet in here. But I liked it, and I don't think too many people did, because it was quite a different vibe from her original, like, Six of Crows kind of series, with the Grishaverse and all of that. But I really liked it. I thought it was very like dark academia vibes, and I'm really looking forward to the second book because the first book finished on quite a cliffhanger. Context with the first book, we follow our main character Alex Stern, who basically goes to this campus. You know me, I love settings to do with education. Goes to this university campus where she kind of accidentally stumbles into this magical, what's what I'm looking for? Underground magical system with different clubs and that sort of vibe. And there she discovers demons. There's also like this developing love side plot, which is, I mean, I always enjoy fantasy that has a little love side plot. It's just one of my guilty pleasures. So that, I can't say too much about the second book without spoiling the first book, but it's just a continuation, and I'm trying really hard to finish series this year. I don't have like specific 2023 reading goals, so you're not going to see a video of that like that from me. But one thing I do want to do is try finish series before starting new ones where possible. Next up, we have another romance, Enemies to Lovers. I just think when it's summertime, I'm just always really into romance books. Something about summer makes me want to read romance. So, this is based off Chinese zodiac traditional matchmaking. And our main character, Olivia, her grandma, makes like a business out of traditional love matching people based off their zodiac signs. But then there's an app that comes out. Do we have the male dude's name? No, oh yes we do, Bennett. But then Bennett comes along and makes an app that kind of breaks the tradition, and I suppose very insensitively, rather than looking at the zodiac Chinese traditional matchmaking, looks at it in terms of animals and the lions go with the scorpions and that sort of vibe. And so she's obviously quite upset about that. So they become rivals in this world of matchmaking other people, but then enemies to lovers ensues. One of my favourite books last year was Battle Royale, which was basically this vibe but a baking competition, and I read it around this time of the year, so this is basically my 2023 version of that. Now we do change it up a little bit away from the romance, and I have a thriller here. It is called All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. Now this is a little bit of like a psychological thriller, which is one of my favourite types of thrillers, and this follows our mother called Isabel. Now when Isabel gave birth to her lovely little son Mason, no doubt she was infatuated with him. She loved him like a mother would. Bum bum bum, Mason is stolen from his crib when he's about 1 year old, and there's like no evidence to help track down the child thief. I don't know what you call them, the kidnapper, right? The kidnapper. Maybe I do know what they're called. Oh, child thief. Okay, the child thief. Ties in the room, by the way, team. I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, the child thief steals Mason, and there's not enough evidence. And our mum, what did I say her name was? Isabel. She cannot sleep. She's like really insomniac. She just can't sleep. I can't speak today. I blame the heat. I think I need to go for another Slurpee, babe. Ultimately, Isabel, understandably, total mess, trying to figure out where her son is, trying to get him back. And then one day she's invited to be interviewed by a true crime podcaster, and the podcaster's questions make her really uncomfortable and brings up memories which have her doubting herself. So that's the psychological element of it. Then again, like I said, trying to carry on with the series, we have the next in Seanan McGuire's Wayward Children series, and this is called Lost in the Moment and Found, and it is book 8. These are really nice short books, and by this time you guys have probably heard about these before. If you haven't, quick recap. Each book generally centers around a certain child, and that child wants to be elsewhere. They don't want to be in the real world, and in their youth they discover a door that takes them to a world that is like built for them. Mermaid worlds, worlds made of sugar, kind of like sad and angry and bitter worlds as well. And each book generally follows a child, whilst there's also been like a progressing general plot as well. And I just love this series because it's quick and very imaginative. Yeah, I suppose it's a little bit like Narnia. So the blurb for like this world that we're going to be visiting is called The Shop Where the Lost Things Go. It says, if you've ever lost a sock, you'll find it here. And if you've ever wondered about your favourite toy from childhood, it's probably sitting on a shelf in the back of this shop. The headphones that you swore you had that time and that you would keep safe, you guessed it, it's found its way to this like magical shop. But then Antoinette has lost her father. She can't find him anywhere, nowhere in the shop. No matter how many doors are open for her, she can't find her dad. So it sounds like it might be quite a sad story for this one. First, specifically categorized as horror, not just thriller, horror, is Grady Hendrix's new book. This is called How to Sell a Haunted House. I'm currently in the middle of his, the Final Girl support group. I've read his vampire one, and the Best Friend's Exorcism, I can't speak today, is also on my list. I just think that his writing style is kind of unique. I'm yet to read a book of his and give it 5 stars, but I've kind of enjoyed stuff of his that I've been reading. So this is like a haunted house story. So we have 2 siblings, and tragically their parents pass away during the coronavirus pandemic. So obviously a trigger for that, trigger warning for that. But the parents pass away, their siblings have to band together, and they realise the only economic salvation they have is selling their childhood home. But when they go to their childhood home to put it on the market, all the mirrors are covered and the attic door is like nailed shut, and basically it's like a dun dun dun, what happens next kind of vibe. I'm putting this on my list now, but honestly I think I might save it for October, like Halloween spooky season. It sounds perfect. The next one is interestingly categorized as a mystery fiction. I'm not too sure reading the blurb where the mystery comes in, but I am still like so interested. So this is called The Bandit Queens by Parina Shroff, and it follows Geeta. Now Geeta's husband died, and so she's a widow. Geeta's, it might be Geeta. Oh gosh. Geeta? Geeta. G. I'm going to say Geeta. Apologies if it's incorrect. But Geeta's husband dies, she is found to be a widow, and lots of people think that she killed her husband. So a self-made widow, interesting concept. And she makes jewellery now, and so her life has actually gotten better even though she misses her husband. Like, people are scared to not buy her jewellery, people leave her alone, she gets no men like pandering after her because, I mean, they all think she killed the last man who she lived with. But then what happens is she's just living her best life, but all these women start coming to her and being like, yo, Geeta, how did you do it? And so Geeta's having to figure out how she can protect this life she's built for herself and this identity and I guess this intrigue around her. But does she actually want to be an accessory to murder? So it's fascinating, but like I say, I'm not sure where the mystery comes in. I'm wondering if like someone dies and she gets blamed and she's trying to figure out who did it. I don't know. I'll find out. All right, we then move into February. I can see on my timer that I've been rambling a little bit, so let's keep this quick. This is called 7 Faceless Saints by M.K. Lobb, and as you can probably guess, it is a fantasy. Now, this is a young adult fantasy. I haven't been having much luck with YA specific fantasy, but I wanted to give this a shot because it sounds really interesting. Okay, I've got my notes here because there are definitely words in here with fantasies, worlds that I am unfamiliar with. So we're in the city of Ombrasia. So saints rule, like they rule with terrifying power. It's not like a enjoyed power situation for the everyday citizens, but it's there. Now Rosanna, her father is murdered by the Ombrasian military, so the priest. The priest's army kills our main character's father. So she then is willing to do whatever it takes to dismantle this corrupt system. She basically becomes a rebel, right? So picture her, we've got her as a rebel. Then on the other hand, we have Damien. Now Damien is basically one of the youngest, strongest, best captains of this Ombrasian military. So we've got these 2 main characters. What happens though is there's a murderer who's stalking Ombrasia's citizens and the body count is climbing, and the saints are like, wait, we didn't sanction these killings, we need to find the murderer. So that's where our Damien comes in. He's trying to figure out who's killing all of these people that the saints didn't want dead. Somehow Rosanna gets tied into this, and she's called Roz for short. Not too sure why. I'm guessing some of the people who have been killed by this murder are part of like her rebel forces. But either way, Roz and Damien have to band together. Probably enemies to lovers. Next up, Veronica Roth has is coming out with another book. It's called Arch Conspirator. And this is a dystopian book, just like she is known for writing. Now, this is a razor-sharp reimagining of, is it Antigone? I've never read it. Is that bad? I don't know. I mean, no, but it's a reimagining of Antigone. And the thing that got me really hooked and interested in this one is that basically there's only one city left on Earth, but there's this basically a computer system which has the genes of old dead people. So when people die, your genes are stored. What do they call it? The archive. Now, passing into the archive is meant to be cause for celebration, but Antigone's parents were murdered, leaving her father's throne vacant. So suddenly the word throne is in there. I'm pretty sure our main character then is kind of like the princess of this. And then it kind of just becomes a political upheaval, morals, dead people, gene machine. I'm going to read it as a new Veronica Roth. This next book gives me Stephen King's Misery vibes, in that it's a book about an author. So this is about Alex. She has yet to publish a book, but she really wants to. And one day she receives an offer to go to this like writer's retreat. Her rival's going to be there. Her best friend's going to be there. She's just keen to go to a writer's retreat and try to finish writing her first book and get it published. So off she goes, packs her bags, and she goes. When they arrive, the the host of this retreat says, right, everyone here in a month has to write a novel beginning to end, and the person with the best book basically gets it published. And she's like, you know, okay, deal, I'm gonna write the best book. But as she's writing the best book, things start to happen. Hauntings, weird behavior, mind games, manipulation, and then someone goes missing. My only thing with this is I hope it's not too slow at the beginning and then everything happens and speeds up towards the end, because those kind of like whodunits, closed door mysteries do kind of bore me, but we'll see. All right, I'm just going to chew through these. A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. It's book 0 in the Roots of Chaos series. I am about 10% through the original, the first one, the first dragon book, and I do really want to finish it, so this is on my radar as part of that series. Next up, we have The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. This is the first ever series, so hopefully I'm going to control myself and not pick it up until I have finished a couple of other series. So basically, Amina is a retired pirate. She was one of the most feared pirates. She's a fierce pirate too. But she retires until one of her old crewmen's mothers comes to Amina and is like, yo, I've got all this money. Can you go save my son? One of the family members, like rescue. She's like, yeah, should be straightforward. Give me a whole boatload of cash and I'll just go find this person and free them. But then she discovers there's more to it than meets the eye, as always is. But I just like, yo, pirates, female pirate, I'm in, count me in. Next up is Clytemnestra. Basically, I put this on here because I surprised myself last year with really enjoying Circe. So when I saw this one, I was like, you know what? I'll give this a go too. Let me put it on the list. So this follows a queen. Keep in mind, I don't know heaps about Greek mythology, so I don't know if she's like already a figure in Greek mythology or if this is like a new figure just inspired by Greek mythology. I don't know. I'll have to do some research. But she is a queen, and her husband, the king, basically goes to fights and war, sacrifices their children for the gods, ignores her, treats her badly, is like, basically she's invisible. But one day he comes back and he becomes like infamous. He's done something that's made him like really famous. And so her too by default as his wife. And she basically is kind of figuring out, do I go with it and become this badass queen, or do I get revenge, or do I do both? And I'm curious too. I want to know what she does. Another author who hasn't published something in a while, Margaret Atwood, Handmaid's Tale lady, if you're wondering where you recognise that name, is coming out with a short story collection called Old Babes in the Wood Stories. And basically, this is about stories that look deeply into the heart of family, relationships, marriage, loss, memory, and what it means to spend a life together. I'm just trying to read more anthologies because I find that a short story collection is a really nice way to break up bigger novels and help me feel like I'm still moving forward. So that's why I put that one on the list, as well as it just being Margaret Atwood, right? Next up is The Golden Spoon by Jessa Maxwell, and this is a mystery/mystery thriller. And I just think that as soon as, like, as I mentioned previously, I love books set within schools. I'm starting to learn that I weirdly love baking competitions. I think it's something about the fact that I used to watch them on TV all the time. So this also has a baking element to it within like a competition thing. So it sounds like it's something I would enjoy. Oh, also this is soon to be released on Hulu. I don't actually know if I can get Hulu in Australia yet, but it's going to be adapted. So this is set in a baking competition. I don't have any main character names, so I don't really know what POV we're going to come from. But basically there's a good old baking tent and there's 6 contestants and people's food starts to get sabotaged, but no one thinks too much of it until someone turns up dead. Who did it? We've got to find out. Next up, kind of unlike me, we have a contemporary novel. And the reason why this one's on my list is it reminds me a little bit of Taylor Jenkins Reid's The 7 Husbands of... Is it Evelyn Hugo or is that a different book? You guys probably know the book I'm talking about. So this follows... oh, where's her name gone? I was just reading the blurb. Isabel. So we're in New York. Isabel's mum and dad, famous. They are like the intellectual it couple. Books. They're the intellectual it couple. And so as Isabella grows up, all she wants to do is publish books like her dad. She wants to write lots of false starts. She hasn't really made a name for herself. Boom. Sadly, mum passes away. Boom. She's going through stuff in the attic and finds lots of family secrets that kind of really changes her perspective on her family, like 180. It's super different. And so she kind of starts to spiral. And the reason why I'm saying it reminds me of the Evelyn Hugo, I think that's the name, book, is because it follows a famous family, a famous person in like a Hollywood kind of vibe city and setting. So that's why I picked this one to go onto my books I'm excited for list. Hopefully editing me has been able to minimize my rambling as much as possible. We need to walk into the city. Oh, it looks hot though, but we need to walk in and go grab some stuff for dinner. It's taco night. And I'm craving another Slurpee. We've been having Slurpees like every day here. It's really hot, by the way. Our first day here, it got to 38 degrees Celsius. So if you're Fahrenheit, throw that into Google. Hot day. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Enjoy all the places you go in your own reading adventures. And please let me know if there are any books that you have got on your list coming up that you are anticipating being released. And I might look into them and I might add them to my own list too. All right, bye-bye.